Hey, Link here. It's been a bit, but thanks for joining me back for my hiatus with episode 120 featuring Megan McDuffie. In this episode, we talk about how they got into doing music, game music that got them interested in the industry, favorite games, words of encouragement, what kind of projects they'd like to work on in the future, some lightning round questions, as well as their life outside of gaming. Before we get started, don't forget there are links in the episode description that you should check out to learn more about Megan as well as the podcast. Also, don't forget to like and share the episode, and without further ado, enjoy episode 120. Hi, and welcome to the Red Tunic Podcast, a podcast where I look to rediscover what makes gaming fun and enjoyable by having positive conversations with those related to the industry. My name is Link, and today I'm joined by accomplished musician and composer Megan McDuffie, with works found in solo projects, covers, TV and video games such as River City Girls 1 and 2. Hi, Megan, how are you doing today?
Hey there, Link. I am doing pretty well. How are you?
I am doing all right, all things considered. I hate to use the Garfield analogy, but it's a Monday, but all things considered, it's going good. It's going better now that I have, you to talk to. You're accomplished, very accomplished in a whole bunch of things. So yeah, it's a great day now that you're here to let me steal some of your time. There we go. That's the nice way to put it, I think.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me here. That's very kind of you.
And I very much appreciate you being here. I know that it's just anyone that ever looks at your credits, your webpage. You seem very busy. You always seem to be um, juggling some things. So yes, I am happy that you are here. That I was able to fit into your schedule, or what have you, what have you. But before we get really into it, I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing with me and anyone else that's listening a little bit about yourself, kind of like the elevator pitch or like the 411 of, who, what have you, that you are, for the ground floor of like what people need to know or should know about you before we go any further.
Sure, I'll give you the short and sweet intro. Um, as was mentioned, my name is Megan McDuffie. I am an award winning composer, music producer, and independent musician. Um, my style can be best described as heavily melodic, sometimes very dark and gritty. I love working on dark and edgy stuff, rock, EDM, all that good stuff. And yeah, I've contributed music to a bunch of different things: film, TV, video games primarily, and kind of my own solo releases.
So thank you for the short and sweet of it. The best way to put it. I Dark and edgy, that's like a wonderful way to put it. And it's one of those things where I'm not a music person. I struggle very much with just trying to describe um any of the genres, or even fully understanding like the difference between basic things like rock and metal and what have you. Um but dark and gritty, for to me personally, that resonates a lot, in that I easily understand that, and when listening to your music, it just lines up perfectly. So thank you for putting it that way, because I'm an idiot, and for anyone else who is in the same kind of understanding of music, I think and hope that would make a really good um, like spotlight on just what exactly that might be. Um, so yeah, thank you for that. And I just want to say, um, one of the things I really like is the just like your style of music in general. Sorry, I was trying to think of a better way to put it, but like it's um it's just it's really nice to listen to. So thank you. Uh Thank you. Sorry, I'm stumbling over myself for the way I should be going, but thank you. Your music is enjoyable to me, and I like the dark and edgy. It makes it nicer to know that if I'm looking for other things similar, um, that's like the genre or what have you, right?
Yeah, I mean, those are kind of basic descriptors. Of course, there's a ton more nuance to it. But if you ever want recommendations, I am full of good tunes that I could send you.
I just might take you up on that. I'm always looking for new things to confuse the hell out of the Spotify DJ. It's really fun to push it to the point where it starts going, hey, you've not listened to country, but you want some country? So I'm always down to see what kind of headache I can give that nonsense. Um,
Oh, yeah,
but
I'm full of stuff.
awesome. So I just might take you up on that. Thank you. I am curious though. Like how is it that you got into doing music? You know, it doesn't this doesn't have to explicitly or specifically be for games. Um, but you know, and you can answer for games or just in general. But I'm just wondering, like, what led you to doing music? Like, why? Sorry, the bluntness of it.
Why do you do this? Great question. It's my origin story, I guess. um, there was never like a defining moment where I was like, I'm going to be a musician. It was just always there. I gravitated towards music as soon as I could walk and talk. I wanted to learn piano. I wanted to learn how to sight read sheet music. I wanted to sing. And so I really just fell into it. Um, it was a passion before I even knew how to articulate it, if that makes sense. So my life has just been one long musical journey. And I did the whole, traveling choir thing. I did musical theater. I studied music both in my undergrad and graduate studies. So like I've been in it for as long as I can remember. Uh, I never wanted to do anything else. And yeah, it kind of took the trajectory of first film scores in college and then a little bit later on video games because the films weren't weren't hitting me like I wasn't getting enough gigs quick enough. It was kind of a slog and I attended my first GDC and just kind of on a whim like, film scores are cool, but game scores are even cooler. So, like, I should maybe try that. And that is what stuck.
Awesome. So thank you for sharing that. And I I don't know how to phrase this properly, so forgive me on this one, but I'm always amazed by people that find what they like, find their passion super early and then are able to commit to it. Um, it's unfortunately not something that I was able to do or what have you. So like I'm always just in awe when people say that. Um, and it's always just an amazing thing to me. So like I'm happy that you not only found your passion, but were able to find work in your passion, like, use it to keep yourself fed or what have you. Because like it's always awesome when people are able to do the things they love. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel very blessed in knowing what I wanted to do since day one. And again, blessed for the fact that, I've been hustling for so long and making it happen because some people do that and it doesn't quite happen. So I'm very grateful.
Now, there is a few things I want to bug you about kind of in that same vein. And one of them was kind of your like your inspirations. I'm putting air quotes around that because that's a kind of like a false way to lead into this. Um, however, I am wondering. This one's more of a nonsense joke to me, and I think anyone that might have an idea about this style of music. But on your bio, you credit Massive Effect as one of your um like one of your influences or what have you. I'm and that is something I can hear in your music. I'm wondering, um, I'm trying to think of the right way to phrase this without it being unintentionally insulting or what have you. I'm wondering with the state of trip hop being effectively like 3 to 5 bands, one of which doesn't like even being said that they're trip hop. I'm wondering, um, do you sorry, I'm just really struggling to think of the right way to phrase it.
All
Do
good.
you do you s do you the idea that, like, what you're doing is close to trip hop or seems similar to it, like, is that an intention or is that just, like, the influence coming through? I'm aware that that's a weird question. Let me try and rephrase it. Are you intentionally trying to do trip hop and be one of those small handful of bands that are doing it, or is it just, like, a happy little, tree kinda Bob Ross thing?
uh, you know, some songs I specifically leaned into a trip hop angle for sure. I haven't released a cohesive, like full trip hop album, if that's what you mean. Um, More so Massive Attack being the influence in their sort of just vibe overall. The moodiness, kind of the dark, the haunting, the like sensual allure, the like kind of down tempo, slow and earwormy kind of thing. That's all those elements, I guess, come through a little bit in pretty much everything that I do. But yeah, every once in a while, I will specifically aim for trip hop, and you can usually tell when I kind of go all in.
So thank you for humoring me on that, and thank you as well. Massive Attack. I always like accidentally call it Massive Effect by accident when I know I shouldn't. I blame the video game kind of thing.
Oh,
But
for sure.
thank you. I'm happy to hear that only because for anyone that likes trip hop, there's like so few bands that do it. Um, and it's always nice to hear more things that are veering that way intentionally sometimes in your case or just like the influence um bleeding through otherwise. But thank you for humoring that question, is because like I said, I like trip hop and it's always nice to be like, oh hey, this is nice. It's rare to hear it, rare to like see it. So yeah,
Yeah,
thank you for humoring that question. um
no problem.
the other question I did want to ask that is probably a little safer, maybe, or easier, less nonsensical, was when it comes to video games, I'm wondering, was there any like video game music that like made you go, "Oh, hey, this is something I could do." Like, because I know like there's always movie music and there's, different scores and what have you. But I'm wondering like for video games, was there like a game that made you go, "Oh, hey, this might be a way to go," before, you were like, "Hey, I need to get some gigs."
There wasn't really a game soundtrack that flipped a switch in my head. It was more so just the experience and joy of playing games that, you know, just kind of made me realize that, oh, hey, an avenue I should pursue as well. Well after the fact of starting to get into video game scoring, I played Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion for the first time, much, farther down the line than, my first game or whatever. But that score really stuck out to me as sort of a flagship example of an orchestral score that I really loved and would really love to attempt something like it one day. It's funny because so far people haven't hired me for my orchestral chops, even though I did my graduate work in orchestration. So perhaps one day. But yeah, Oblivion has a really great soundtrack. But yeah, before that, what made me get into games and music for games wasn't any one game in particular. It was just the like I said, the joy of being immersed in different worlds.
So thank you for that. I find that really nice to know. That it's just sort of like that general wonder and beauty of like just all of it kind of bleeding in, making you just want to check that out. And I am wondering, only because you mentioned orchestral, and it's been a hot minute since I've went and looked into anything of this kind of orchestral music where it's mixing in not just like um, standard instruments. I'm not a huge music person in the terminology, so I don't know how common this is or the right words. But I'm wondering if you think there would be room for like a hybrid of like orchestral and your style if given the chance.
I think that would be an absolute blast to work on. And I've definitely done some things, especially in my foray into film trailers, where a lot of it is hybridized with electronic sounds and kind of gritty textures with things that are more traditional, like strings and, taiko drums, stuff like that. So I think working on a soundtrack that has the hybrid of those two would be super, super fun.
I'll keep my fingers crossed for you that you're given the opportunity for that just because it's something that I like used to listen to or stumble upon, and I was always super impressed by like the nice like the balance of it and the I imagine the challenge of the balance. Um but yeah, no, I will keep my fingers crossed for you because that sounds like it would be really cool to a really cool project and also just a really cool thing to listen to, you know?
Totally. Thanks.
So I am curious about this, and I don't know how it'll go just based on the last the last bit where you mentioned how there wasn't any one game and Oblivion, like the soundtrack for that was kind of the kind of like a goal, like a project of that caliber or level or what have you. Um, I'm wondering though, do you have like a favorite game and or games or a series or what have you? And if so, like what game series, what not would that be? And like what is it that sets that aside for you? Or sets it apart for you? That's the right way to put it.
Yeah. Um, I am going to be pretty basic and say that my favorite games are the games that I first got into video games on. That being um, three Nintendo 64 titles: Ocarina of Time, Super Mario 64, and Banjo Kazooie. I Those were pretty much my first games and console, and I just fell in love with them. So those will forever be in my heart as my top three. To supplement that, though, through the years, I've fallen in love with other games, of course. What set those apart, I think, is just pure nostalgia. Um, Getting a video game console for the first time and plugging in a cartridge, it just, you can't beat it, especially when you're 12 years old. It's the coolest thing in the world. And then, kind of from that point on, I would say some other favorites of mine include Subnautica. What sets that one apart for me is I feel like the developers unintentionally made a game for me without realizing it. I am obsessed with anything underwater and deep sea. So, getting to basically explore a deep ocean in a safe way was just fabulous. And I actually really like the soundtrack to that as well. It's a very cool electronic soundtrack. And then another one of my favorites, besides Oblivion, which we mentioned, is Ghostwire Tokyo. I love the visuals in that game, and I love anything creepy, but it's like not too scary. It rides that perfect line between fantasy and horror, which I really appreciate.
So thank you for speaking to that. And I understand what you mean with Ghostwire Tokyo. I've played a bit of it. I don't know how far I got, but it did a really good job at doing like you said, it's not like overly scary. It's kind of just like nails the middle ground or like the line for being a game that if you're someone that is kind of apprehensive to try horror games or doesn't like, the jump scares or what have you, it does a good job at just being a nice, creepy kind of like keep you on the back of your heels game, but also not making you feel like you always need to be uh like 5 seconds away from running, if that makes any
Yes.
sense. And I think it probably
Yes.
does for you.
Yes, it absolutely makes sense. I just love the sort of creepy, abandoned atmosphere, but with all the neon and almost like cyberpunk element to it, it yeah, it kind of tips the balance from being just horror, which I really like.
And I'm wondering, because I'm apparently deciding just to we'll go into bouncing all over the place today. I'm wondering what is it about with Subnautica, the underwaterness of it or what have you? Like what is it that makes you enjoy that? It doesn't have to be video game related. I do like to ask, outside of games and whatnot. But like you kind of put that one up on a platter, so I'm gonna ask about it.
Sure. Yeah. Again, it's one of those things where ever since I was little, I've been fascinated with the ocean and similarly outer space. Just the great black abyss, the unknown. It's always been super fascinating to me. So any documentary that comes out on the deep sea, I will be freaking glued to the screen. Same with deep space and looking for exoplanets. I don't know, it's my cup of tea. So when Subnautica came out and kind of combined, outer space exploration with underwater exploration, the fact that it's an alien world and you can just go deeper and deeper and deeper to see what's there, it just hooked me from the get go.
So thank you for that. I'm happy. I'm happy to hear that, and I only say it that way because uh, me personally, the concept of like underwater games or kind of like 4 or 5 degrees of freedom or what have you for space games, it scares the hell out of me. Um, so whenever I hear someone like enjoys those, I'm always interested in like the why or what have you, only because again, it's the I don't think it's I don't know if phobia, what have you, is the right word for it, but like just that open space above and below just terrifies me. And I'm always looking to vicariously live through others that enjoy and can stomach those kind of games.
Yeah, I mean, I like to be slightly creeped out, so I hear you. The the deep water, like if I was actually floating in the ocean in the middle of nothing, I would be very scared. So, I think it's a little bit masochistic. Like I am slightly scared but fascinated at the same time.
Now, I'm wondering if that interest also extends if you've played this game, The Outer Wilds, if you've checked that out or if that was something that kind of scratched the similar itch.
I have not played Outer Wilds. I've seen it played quite a bit. Both a friend of mine and my husband kind of dove into that one. So I haven't taken a stroll through that one yet myself. But yeah, the outer space thing very much calls to me. So it's on my list.
I can definitely understand the list as someone that's been going the Steam route since it pretty much launched. Um, it's never easy, is it, to like add a game to your list and then be like, well, there's 4 more ahead of you, and then a Steam sale or what have you comes along. You're like, well, now there's 5, 6, 7 more ahead of you on top, right?
Oh yeah, I'm the same with books, films, any sort of media. I have giant lists.
So I'm gonna bug you about that again later. I assure you that, or in at least a handful of minutes. But I wanted to ask this because I forgot to ask earlier, and I'm wondering if you have any like words of encouragement for anyone that might want to go down a similar route as you, that wants to, whether it be just working on wild solo projects and covers, or for video games, or what have you, composing for video games and such. I'm just wondering if you have any like words of encouragement that you wouldn't mind sharing, and that by all means, feel free to in your mind the person you're speaking to, have it be like anyone you want, a younger you, a person in a college classroom, what have you, what have you.
Yeah, my two points of advice that carry through any type of music industry or game industry job really are to make friends, like make actual connections with real people, because those develop into jobs. It's really all about who you know. I cannot stress that enough. My best work and almost all of my work, to be perfectly honest, have come through personal recommendations and connections. And my second piece of advice that goes hand in hand is don't give up. The longer you persist, the greater chance you have of getting to do what you dream about. And the farther you go in persistence, the more that you have a chance, because there will be so many other people who give up before you. So if you don't give up, you will go places.
So thank you for that advice. I like that. If I may paraphrase it, it sounds like you are saying for the second part, making friends is very clear and easy. The second part, though, I interpret that as treat what you're doing as a marathon, not a sprint or a short race, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I it's been, I mean, aside from like studying music my entire life and learning my craft as best I can, I've been at this professionally for 13 years, and there's still heights that I wish to climb. So definitely a marathon.
So on the topic of heights that you wish to climb, I'm wondering, and this, the way I would usually ask this question if the opportunity arises is kind of like, what kind of game would you like to create or work on in your case, given the freedom? I'm wondering, and this can be game related or not, but like, what when you say there's still heights you hope to climb, would you mind speaking to that?
I would not mind. Specifically, I would love to work on a AAA title. Even more specifically, I would pretty much die happy if I got to contribute in some way to the Cyberpunk 2077 sequel. I think my musical sensibilities would be a really good fit. Um, but aside from that specific game, yeah, pretty much any game for, studios like CD Projekt Red, Bethesda, Rockstar Games, just those sort of upper echelon companies. That is kind of my next step. That's my next goal. And other than that, yeah, I mean, I'll leave it there. That's pretty much it as far as the game thing goes.
So thank you for speaking to that. And you kind of touched on something that I did want to, or earlier today when I was thinking of things I could bug you about, I did want to mention to you. I don't know if this is really, I can bug you about it, but I sincerely hope that you get a chance to contribute to the cyberpunk world. And I say that because the more I've been listening to your music, because I was listening to it for more so intentionally for the last week. Um, not to say I don't listen to your music, comes up and whatnot, but like the last week, I've been intentionally really kind of listening to it to get a better idea or things to see what they come, so I could bug you about the amount of times in my mind where I'm like, this would fit nicely in cyberpunk. Um, is several times at the very least. So like I sincerely hope that that's something that can, that they hear your music, they smart enough, they reach out to you because like I think it would fit nicely. I think that it would be fantastic to hear. So, like, yes, I hope for the best for you in that regard, just because, yeah, it's literally one of the games that I thought of when listening to your music where I'm like, this could fit really nice. I hope it works out one day.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I appreciate that. I am manifesting it by telling it to people. So the more people I mention it to, maybe the better chance it'll happen.
You know, you say that it's manifesting just from the music itself, like I'm sure, hopefully, I'm sure at some point the right people are going to hear it and hopefully, give you a call and like, you're going to, something you've done is going to find its way in there. Um, Cause yeah, like I mean this honestly, numerous times through the week I've been like, this, she belongs in cyberpunk. So like, I hope that you continue to manifest it and that others manifest it for you as well. The right people manifest it for you. Um, and like go smack CD Project Red around and they give you a call.
Thanks. Yeah, that would be amazing.
um, Now, Megan, just because you just because when we initially set this up, you didn't have, you gave me an hour. I'm not saying this in a dismissive way, or what have you, but I do want to bug you about some of the normal things I do intentionally bug people about before I let you go. And I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind if I hit you up with some lightning round questions.
Oh yeah. Hit me with them.
Awesome. Now, I do want to give you a heads up that these are lighthearted, nonsensical, and a little random. So, by all means, feel free to answer them as short or as long as you'd like. No judgment, however you see fit. And I'm giving you that heads
Great.
up just so it makes a little sense when I ask you something like this. Which video game character do you think is most likely to be pro Salem witch trials?
Random indeed. Oh. Oh my god, that's so hard. I'm just trying to go through a Rolodex in my head of video game characters. Hmm. Oh heck. I'm just gonna throw Ganondorf out there.
Thank you. That feels like a fair answer. He probably would be because he wouldn't want to be challenged himself for power, right?
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm just looking at my questions. I'm like, what else can I be mean with? Um, which which video game character do you think is most likely to put orange juice over their cereal?
Ooh. Hmm. Another good question. I kind of feel like Waka from Final Fantasy X would be a little quirky like that.
Thank you, thank you. Uh, Now I'm gonna ask you this one, and this is more of a question of: do you want me to go really weird with this, or do you want this to be something that might hit on a personal level?
Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice. Okay. Um, and the only reason I asked that is because the other one I pretty much been asking everyone it because I love it. Um, I might hit you with both if you humor me for the time. But which video game character do you think is most likely to say, "I'm not mad, just disappointed in you personally"?
Ooh, rough. Maybe Princess Peach. I don't know why. I feel like she has that vibe.
Thank you. That is a interesting pick. I'm going to have to think on that the next time I play a game with her and think think what vibe that might be for me personally. But thank you.
I don't know. That's
Um
just what came to me.
and that's perfectly fair. So I'm going to hit you with one more only because I love this one and it's completely stupid. Um whi- which video game character do you think most likely wants uppies from a goth dommy mommy?
That is a next level lightning round question. uh, hmm, that's a tricky one. Oh, I'm gonna I'm gonna pull another FF10 reference with Titus. I feel like he would really appreciate that.
Would I almost want elaboration on why you think he would appreciate that, but I'll leave. Thank you. I will leave it at that. Um, but Megan, thank you for humoring the lightning round questions. Um, I do want to ask you this as well, though, just because you had mentioned on the topic of like books that you enjoy, like your backlog for books and your love of space and the ocean. Um, mind my paraphrasing on that, but I'm wondering, outside of games or and music or what have you, outside of work, there we go. That's the way I should put it. What do you enjoy doing? Like, how do you relax?
I relax with books. Yes, I do like to read quite a bit. And I crochet. I find it very, very zen and meditative. And I also regularly pole dance. I've been doing that for about 6 years now, almost seven. And it is the best exercise I have ever tried. And it's super, super fun.
So thank you for that. I have a few questions that I would like to follow up on. Um,
Sure.
the one for the pole dance, it's a quick and easy one, and it's only because when I learned this, I was absolutely amazed. Um, how did that go for you the first time you realized that it's actually the pole that's spinning and not the person somehow managing to spin themselves but not be falling on their face or what have you?
So there are two different types of poles. Sometimes they are the same pole that you can either lit in a static position or unlock it. So, yes, there are like little ball bearings in a sheath that the pole itself spins. So, there's almost like two schools of dance, people that specialize in static pole and people that specialize in spin pole. I have tried both. I am a static girly. I prefer to not just hold on for dear life while it rotates me into oblivion.
So thank you for that. And I didn't know there were two. So that makes me feel much better from seeing or just like hearing or learning about it, so to say. I don't know the right way to put it all. Um, but that makes me feel much better because I always thought they were, like you said, people were just hanging on for dear life and learning how to spin. Um,
Hmm.
which I imagine would also be absolutely terrifying if you've been doing it for, you know, enough time to work up a sweat. Because as anyone that does any exercise, you start to sweat. And like I'd be scared very much so that the moment that you like wrap your leg uh on the inside of your knee that you slip and go face first into the floor as it's spinning and
For
throws you
sure.
around.
For
But no,
sure.
thank you. I that's
Yeah.
that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, it's all good. We do use stuff called grip that basically is kind of like rock climbing chalk almost, that kind of keeps you sticky. So if you ever watch a pole dancer practicing, usually they're kind of slapping their hands together and like um, doing that to the backs of their knees and stuff too. So it makes us a little more sticky for that exact reason. We don't want to be completely sweaty messes just falling all the time. It does happen though. Some days you're just real sweaty and nothing you can do will prevent that.
So thank you for that. I'm always interested in hearing about things like kind of like the technicals for things that I don't know much about. So thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. And
Sure.
something that I can add to my random trivia knowledge for the event I ever have to
Yes.
pull it out.
There you
Um,
go. You're in the know.
and I am in the know. Thank you. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about was when it comes to books, things that you enjoy reading, like what kind of stuff do you enjoy reading, and do you have any like recommendations for those genres or what have you?
I enjoy a little bit of everything. I would say that the stuff I enjoy the least tends to be nonfiction. I'm definitely more into fiction. But as far as fiction goes, I kind of read everything. Really big fan of fantasy and sci-fi and horror, or just like romantic dramas or kind of everything. I'm trying to think of some favorites for you. I just finished reading one of the most epic books I've ever read. It's a sci-fi by the title of A Deepness in the Sky. It's by the author Werner Vinge, and it's meaty. Like it's it's a thick book with a lot of really cool concepts and really interesting world building. So I highly recommend that for anybody listening who enjoys sci-fi. It's a real yeah, it's just like kind of mind-blowing, honestly. Another one of my absolute favorite authors is Tad Williams. He is primarily a fantasy author, although he does have some more sci-fi leaning stuff. Um, his series called Otherland, it's kind of in between sci-fi and fantasy. It's very cyberpunk, very Ready Player One, if you're familiar with that. This came out before that, so I think Ready Player One honestly got some inspiration from this series. It's such a trip. It's all about virtual worlds and virtual reality and kind of just crazy adventures in people's minds. So those are two that come to mind for me immediately.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate the recommendations, and I'm not gonna lie, whenever I see a title or hear a title of something like A Deepness in the Sky, it's I'm always amazed about how awesome those titles sound. You know what I mean? Like the I'm not like if I were to ever write a book, and not that I would, but I've always thought like, well, what would I make the title? And I'm always like in my head, like it would have to be something incredibly incredibly hard, like A Deepness in the Sky, right? Um,
Yeah,
so sorry.
very epic.
Thank you. Yes, it is. So thank you for sharing that. Just because like that's such an epic name. And I'm always
Hmm.
just so impressed when they get to use such amazing names for titles, right?
Definitely. And it is, I mean, it's not just an epic title, but it ties into the story and is very, very fitting for the book. So I hope you check it out. It's a good one.
I will do my best. I've wrote it down. I'm gonna take a look at it. Um, I don't read a lot. I listen to audiobooks, but I'm going to definitely go out of my way to try and check that one out based on your recommendation and that awesome title name. Um,
Very
so
good.
thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Now, Megan, as I said, about 10 or so minutes ago, you know, I know that we don't have a whole lot more time left. So I did want to um sorry, I don't know what happened there. I just blanked out. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. However, if there was anything else you did want to discuss, like a cool game or a project that you're working on, uh, it's just something else that you're doing in general, something you feel more people should just be more aware of. By all means, the floor is yours. As well, please let everyone know where they can find more information about you, which I'll also include in the episode description.
Great. Yeah, happy to do so. I mean, I'm not sure when this podcast will go up, but as of this recording, I have an album dropping on Friday. It's Monday currently, so in a few days, I will be releasing an album of dark, moody synthwave covers, mostly 90s songs, so songs from my formative years. What started as a little experiment on social media, me doing like 15 to 30-second covers and posting little performances, actually blew up. Several of them went viral, and it it was kind of a sign from the universe that maybe I should actually put some more time into these. So people were asking me for an album. I've released several of them as singles in full, but now the entire album as a collection is dropping on August 22nd. So it would be dope if y'all could check that out. Aside from that, I am also working on a personal album of originals, kind of in again, a dark, synth wavy, cyberpunky kind of style, and having a lot of fun working on those too. Um, the more client focused work, I can't talk about a lot of that yet. So you will just have to maybe pop onto Spotify or Apple Music. I'm kind of everywhere. So whatever platform you like to listen on, just search for Megan McDuffie and you will find me.
Awesome. So, Megan, thank you for that. I will be sure to include in the episode link like your Spotify, your Apple Music, where they can find, basically all those things to listen to you or support you or what have you. Um, the episode unfortunately will not be out in time for your new album release. However, what I'll definitely do is make sure that that new album information is also in the episode description, so that way people can easily find their way to the thing that's coming out this week. As of recording, I that should be August 22nd. So August 18th for today, but as of August 22nd. Sorry, um, trying to say the dates right. But that will be in the episode description. That way anyone can easily check that album out. I know I'm going to be, just because, like I said earlier, I really like the music that you do, and I'm looking forward to the new music that you put out. Sorry, I lost myself in how to actually phrase that.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I'm stoked you're going to check it out. I hope you enjoy it.
Based on what I've heard from you, I am very confident that I am going to enjoy it.
Well, sweet. Love that.
However, Megan, as I said, I don't want to take up too much more of your time. So if there wasn't anything else, I will shut up and let you get on with your Monday evening.
All right. Yeah, I mean, we covered quite a lot of good stuff.
Yes, we definitely bounced all over the place. Usually I am a little more focused, but for whatever reason, I just I allowed myself to just bounce and see where it all went. So thank you for riding that wave with me.
Absolutely. Happy to do so.
But if there wasn't anything else, I will definitely let you get on with your evening, though.
Yeah, I'm good. If peeps want to find me, they can check the links or just search my name, Megan McDuffie. I am everywhere.
Thanks to Megan for making time to have this conversation with me, and thank you for joining us on the Red Tunic podcast, as well as a special thanks to Ronald Jenkins for the use of music from the title track from Road Steep. Be sure to check out the episode description for links to socials, websites, and other means that will allow you to learn more about or support Megan, as well as the podcast. And while you're doing that, share, like, follow, and whatever else you think makes the algorithm work. Thanks, till next time.